Hello, welcome to Hidden Creatures, podcast of the McFap with father and son. I am Bo.
I am Rainey.
And I am the father.
I am the son.
Today is our fifth episode, I believe. And so I'm going to be talking about a couple of creatures from Antarctica. And Rainey, what are you going to be talking about?
The Wampahoofus.
Which are two creatures with the same name.
But very different descriptions and characteristics.
Okay, cool. And Rainey's creatures are both from New England.
No, they're not. One's from...
Where are they from?
What? One's from Maine and the other one's from Vermont.
Right, which is New England.
Oh, I knew that.
Fair enough. Do you know what New England is, Rainey?
No.
So New England is a group of states in the north, that northeast chunk of states is commonly referred to as New England. So it's just a big chunk of states. And both those states are New England. See, we're teaching people things.
Yep.
This is educational. Not only are we talking about McFap, we're giving them geology lessons.
Yep.
Do you want to fill people in on what McFap stands for?
Mythical, cryptid, fae, alien, paranormal.
So like Rainey said, McFap, MCFAP, stands for mythical, cryptid, fae, alien, and the paranormal. And in this podcast, we do a couple different things. Some podcasts, we will interview people about their experiences. And other podcasts, Rainey and I will sort of do research on most of the time it's one creature each, but sometimes it's two, or stuff happens. We get a weird bug in our pants and do something different. But that's what it is. And so this time we are talking about creatures. Last episode was we were interviewing MC, and we talked to her about spirits and spirit cats or fairy cats, and we talked about the Mount Vernon monster a little bit and what our thoughts on the Mount Vernon monster are. And then next episode we are going to be interviewing her again, and in that episode we're going to talk more about fairy, the fae in general, and some of her run-ins with fae type experiences when she was overseas. So she's been over to Europe quite a few times.
Who we think the Mount Vernon monster is.
Yeah, we also discuss the Mount Vernon monster again. And I feel like we talk about, poltergeist. I don't like poltergeists. So, we talk about ghosts and ghost theory. And we discuss how much I dislike poltergeists. They creep me out to the point where let's not talk about them anymore because they're creepy and I don't like them. So before we get too far into our episode, let's give just a few disclaimers. Do you want to give the first disclaimer, Rainey?
We're not professionals.
Correct. Not at all. Not even a little bit. We're just two dudes hanging out, talking about interesting experiences, interesting creatures, and we have no background in any of this. We are not professional podcasters. We're not professional researchers. We're not professional McFap hunters. But, we're having fun. We're discussing things, and hopefully join along to have some fun as well. But with that statement of we're not professionals, there are definitely some things that could get better. Our editing, it's a work in progress. Hopefully it gets better as we go along. Also, we do have dogs. Sometimes they can be heard in the background.
And some chickens.
And we do have some chickens, and sometimes they can be heard pecking at the door.
Trying to get in.
We do not. They're not house chickens. They're backyard.
Not.
But where I record is right by the back door, and sometimes they will huddle here. And Rainey also has a mother, and I have a lovely wife. They happen to be the same person. And sometimes she forgets that we're recording, and so she can be heard in the background as well. So with that, let's get into our discussion. Did I forget anything, Rainey?
Oh, the discussion that I know nothing about.
Oh, yes. So we originally tried to record this episode a couple days ago, and I was really excited to share something on that episode that had happened that day. And it was sort of this like cascading domino effect of weirdness, but I really wanted to surprise Rainey with it. And so at the end of the episode, I brought this up. We talked about it, and then
We had some technical issues.
we lost the entire episode. And so we're having to re-record. But it's interesting that we're having to re-record because there have been some additional interesting things that have happened that's all been related. So once Rainey and I discuss our creatures, then we'll get into this third topic of interest. Cool. Rainey, are you going first today or am I?
You are.
Me? Okay. Cool. So, like I said earlier, I believe I doing my research for some other creatures, I came across initially one cryptid from Antarctica, and I got really excited. I have a slight infatuation with Antarctica that, like, if I could only go to one place for the rest of my life, and the rest of my life I'd stay home, but I was allowed to take one last trip, I would go to Antarctica. I want to spend the night on the continent of Antarctica. I'm just infatuated with it. I think it is an amazing place. Ernest Shackleton, explorer, famous thing happened down there. If you haven't heard of him, you should look into it. Look into him. And one of the things that fascinates me about Antarctica is that it doesn't have a native human population. So the rest of the world all has a native human population, and so they all have a creation story that goes along with it. And whether that is, the biblical creation story, or it is, Turtle Island, North America with, some Native American cultures, Turtle Island, or whatever. Like all over the world, there are these creation stories of how the world came into being, but Antarctica doesn't have one. And I just find that absolutely fascinating. So when I found, just by chance, a cryptid from Antarctica, it really got my attention. So the cryptid I'm going to be talking about is called the Ningen, Ningen. And there are some weird reports of how long this thing has been around. I found one source that dates sightings back to the 1700s. The rest of my sources all have sightings starting, or reports of sightings starting in the early mid 2000s. And most of these sightings have been related to Japanese sailors who have been either exploring the area or who have been exploring the area. So with that, let's get into the description, what these things look like. They are reportedly completely white, just like albinos, no coloration, just white. And they're estimated to be a length or a height of 20 to 30 meters. And so a meter is a little over 3 feet, give or take. But let's just keep math easy. So let's say 3 feet to a meter.
60 to 90 feet.
60 to 90 feet. That's a big creature. People have described them as being like human in shape. So imagine like a 90-foot tall person. That's bigger than a giant. So they have legs, they have arms, they have 5 fingers on their hands. They have eyes and a mouth, not described as having a nose or ears, but eyes and mouth are reported. And sometimes they're described as having fins, so like a dorsal fin, similar to like a whale or a dolphin or something like that, or a large mermaid-like tail instead of legs. And also sometimes, more rare, but sometimes they're reported to have tentacles similar to like a squid or an octopus, something like that. And sometimes their description goes sort of other end of the thing, and they're described as small bipedal humanoids that are armless, similar to a creature called the Fresno nightcrawler.
May I butt in real quick?
Well,
The difference between small and 90 feet,
yes.
it's sort of big.
Yep. Yep. I get it. I understand that. So there has been some photographic evidence of it, but all the photographic evidence has been either revealed to be hoaxed or they're just like artistic interpretations. And now with the prevalence of like AI, just like AI animations, so nothing, no reliable pictures. One of the theories about these things is that it is an undiscovered species of apes, which is able to breathe underwater. I'm not buy into that theory because just none of those things have anything to do with an ape. Apes are not 90 feet tall. Apes don't breathe underwater.
They don't have mermaid tails.
I'm not buying it, but that's a theory, you know. Yes, and so Ningens rose to popular culture knowledge after an article was published about them in 2007 in an issue of a Japanese paranormal magazine. And the article called them Antarctic humans. And it also included a Google map screenshot of what appeared to be one of these creatures off the coast of Namibia. Now, again, Namibia is in Africa. We're going back to our geology lesson for today. Or I guess maybe this is geography. Maybe I need to go back to school. Geography lesson of the day. And Namibia is in Africa, not Antarctica. So through all my research, and I visited many pages, and ultimately the Ningen is made up. It doesn't exist. They just made it up. The resources I used to research the Ningen were cryptids.fandom.com, and that is spelled CRYPTIDZ. Also thoughtcatalog.com, fringecreatures.com, and mythologyworldwide.com. So those were the resources I used for the fake McFap Ningen nonsense. Now y'all don't have to look it up or be scared of some creature haunting, some giant, massive creature haunting the waters off of Antarctica, because it's not there.
And also Africa.
Yep, it's not there either. But in the process of researching the Ningen, I came across another cryptid in Antarctica called Organism 46B.
That sounds like something out of a science fiction thing.
Correct. It does, and maybe for a reason. Organism 46B is also a large creature, not as large as the Ningen is reported to be. It's reported to be roughly 33 feet long. It's multi-tentacled, squid-like creature which lives in, it's called Lake Vostok. And Lake Vostok is a subglacial lake in Antarctica, and the Russians have built a research station on it. And the lake is located roughly 2 miles under the ice cap there. Couple things going back to just description of this creature. It can release a toxin into the water to immobilize its prey, and it can reportedly shoot this toxin about 150 feet. So it's like an underwater squirt gun of paralyzing mayhem. There are also reports of this creature being able to do like some weird telepathic stuff. It's also reported to be very aggressive and have a high intelligence. A couple things about Vostok Station. First, it was established by the Soviet Union at the time in 1957. In 1974 is when it was discovered that that Lake Vostok existed. So before then, they just thought they were on a big ice cap. 1974. And then roughly 40-ish years later is through ice core drilling, they were able to push through to actually, through ice core drilling, get to the lake. And so they got to the lake reportedly on February 5th of 2012. And there has only been sort of one encounter with this creature, and it happened then. but it happened over a period of several days. And so the people doing the ice core drilling really disturbed this creature and made it a little. So one of the scientists on the expedition, his name was Dr. Anton Podolka, and I'm going to read a quote. He said that, quote, "We encountered organism 46B on our first day drilling into the lake. It disabled our radio, which we later learned to our alarm was intentional. It was also able to paralyze prey from a distance of up to 150 feet by releasing its venom into the water. And tragically, my colleague and lifelong friend was killed this way." So basically, as soon as they hit the water, like they woke it up, something happened, and it went on the attack. Later, like the group was attacked multiple times. It killed some people. It ate some people. Podolk also said, and this might be a little scary for the younger folks, but we watched helplessly as it used its arms to tear off one of the people's heads and popped its remains in its mouth and ate it. It was as if it had hypnotized him telepathically. They talk about it being able to shapeshift and all that stuff. And ultimately through my research, again, hoax, doesn't exist. The story of Organism 46B first surfaced in 2012.
Well, we guess the people with science fiction novel.
Correct. The author is C. Michael Forsyth. Yeah. So it's a fake, old fakeroonie. So, but in all of this research, I did find another interesting thing, and I just didn't have time to research. And so there is it's called the Antarctic door. And so I'll research that for another one. But it is reported that this strange door-like landmass formation has been found in Antarctica, and people believe all sorts of things. They believe that's like that's the portal that Bigfoot's coming in and out of. Yeah. And I don't want to talk too much about it because I really didn't. I looked at it and didn't have time to do the research that I needed to do. So yeah, so 2 for 2 hoaxes, big cryptids. But like I said, in a later episode, I'll visit the Antarctic door. So that's what I got, Rainey. What you got today?
So one of them only exists in a book I have, and the other one exists in Vermont. Which one do you want to hear first?
Let's go with the one in the book.
The Wampahoofus. When hiking, always stay to the left of any puddles or boggy areas that you encounter, or the one-armed Wampahoofus may grab your boot. For a little context, Wampahoofus, this one anyways, only has one arm, one eye, and is smushed flat.
Like a piece of paper.
Yep.
Gotcha.
These curious creatures have a strong appetite for boot leather. They're not too shy to reach out and grab your feet. Often, all that can be seen of a lurking Wampahoofus is its single bubble-shaped eye that sticks up out of the mucky water. The rest of the body is rather like a leathery lily pad that floats just below the surface and anchors itself deep in the muck. Since it only has one right arm, anyone unlucky enough to step near Wampahoofus's right side while walking through a puddle will find it grabs on tight, and while these animals prefer to eat only boot leather, will take any footwear they can get. For their small size, they are very strong and often come away with shoes. If you're successful in rescuing your footwear, you will likely hear a sad shoo. It's spelled SCHCKCKCKLOOOP.
Do you know the grammatical term for that?
No.
It's called an onomatopoeia.
What's that?
An onomatopoeia is the...
Oh yeah, because it sounds like the sound that it makes.
Correct. It's a word that sounds like the sound that it makes. Like moo or quack, quack. Those are onomatopoeias as well. Look, we're educational. Now we're talking about grammar. People about grammar. Sorry, okay. Okay, back to the Wampahoofus.
which is the cry of a hungry Wampahoofus. The author has found these creatures can sometimes be pulled from the muck by probing them with a specially made Wampahoofus rod. This tool is much like a ladle handle, a flat piece of metal about 18 inches long, with a curved hook on the end. This hook is used to grab them under the arm and pull them from the mud. First known by part of its scientific name, Limmer Take Booty. It's spelled Limmertakus. Boottii. This animal was discovered by Dr. Francis Boot, a famous naturalist of the White Mountains. The first full modern scientific account of this creature seems to have been recorded by A.G. Oxton. The common name Wampahoofus seems to be inspired in some way by the sound heard when the children stop in trail mud. And here's a direct quote from the book. Darn mud puddle got my boot. It was almost like something grabbed a hold of it and wouldn't let go until the boot was off. Never did I find it. By Burton Packard, I think. And this is the author's descendant. Do you need me to spell anything?
Nope, you're good.
Okay, now to the Vermont version. There are some trails that are reportedly made by the Wampahoofus, walking around in circles. And so Wampahoofuses are born where either the left side legs are shorter or the right side legs are shorter, so they can walk around hills easier. The Wampahoofus was only native to certain areas of Mount Mansfield, Vermont's highest peak. They inhabit a specific elevation zone, usually between 2,600 feet and 3,200 feet. Described as shy and reclusive, generally avoiding human contact. However, folklore suggests they grow increasingly irritated by littering hikers, sometimes becoming territorial or aggressive towards those who didn't respect the mountain environment. Quite possibly a distant cousin of the Rakabor, a pig-like creature, and almost certainly a near relative of the Wangdoodle. By some accounts, the males always had shorter left legs, and the females always had shorter right legs. And so they can move around by leaning against each other. And so that's how they walk in a straight line. People who have claimed to have seen the Wampahoofus say it's a mix between a deer and wild boar. While the Vermont varieties had fur, a version with scales is also said to have existed elsewhere. Its color varied from a dark green to an almost glowing orange. Some were three-toed, others had five. There's even a mention of a cloven-hoofed Wampahoofus.
Okay.
The sources I got for this were Vermont's Very Best and Mental Floss.
Is that all you got for the Wampahoofus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, there's a quote in the book that I think is really funny.
Okay. Well, why don't you read that to us?
It's too bad gougers aren't good at eating. They sure aren't hard to catch. And that's by Burton Malboro Packard.
Nice.
That's the author's relative.
Yeah, I forgot to list my sources for organism 46B. For that one, I did monster.fandom.com and also medium.com, medium.com. And that one, I only did those two because once I found out it was a hoax, like, I was done with it. I didn't go any further.
You were too tired from the Ningen?
I was too tired from the Ningen. I wasn't going to keep researching something that's fake. Okay, should we talk about this other thing?
Yep.
Okay. So on a couple days ago, MC was our interview last episode and will be our interview next episode, sent me a link to a podcast. And she said, "Hey, this podcast sort of relates back to
Was it Sarah's episode?
Sarah's episode in the first interview you did." So like, cool. I thought neat. I'll check it out. I'll give it a quick little listen to make sure it's family appropriate. And so I listened to it for about 5-6 minutes. And in it, the gentleman who was being interviewed was talking about owls and how there is a lot of research showing a connection between owls and UFO sightings and owls and Fae experiences and owls and Bigfoot and owls and the paranormal. Just a tremendous amount of evidence has been collected on this. And so at the time, like I said, I listened to 5-10 minutes of it, turned it off. I said, cool, I'll finish listening to it with Rainey later. And then, later in the day, I do a walk every day, just trying to be healthy, get my steps in. And there's a wooded area by our house with a little trail network in it. And it's a very little trail network. I think, if you walked every single trail in it, it might be 2 miles, maybe 2.5. Not long. And that's like, yeah, anyway, 2.5 miles. So as I'm walking, I'm in the woods, I'm thinking about, owls, and I was thinking about a gentleman I used to work with, and I've told this story before about he
Uh,
is
was it in MC's first episode? First interview?
maybe it's about a gentleman. Yeah, I think I talked about it there. The guy is Cherokee, and he had asked me to pick up like birds if I ever saw one on the side of the road that had been hit and dead. And so I saw one, took him to it, and it ended up being an owl, and he had a very negative reaction to it. So anyway, I was thinking, hey, it would be really interesting to get him on the show, and so we can talk about owls and the relation to like these other things, and also talk about their role in his culture. Excuse me. And he's married to a woman who is from a tribe in the Southwest Four Corners area, I believe. And their view on owls is very different. Their cultural view on owls is very different than what his cultural view is. So I was thinking, hey, I wonder if I could talk him into doing it. And I wonder if I could like talk him and his wife into doing it at the same time. So we sent this podcast about owls and the paranormal, thinking about the podcast about owls and the paranormal, thinking about getting these people on the show, talking about owls and the paranormal. And at that point in time, I heard an owl noise. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it's not uncommon to hear owls in our neighborhood. But just at that particular point in time, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, it's sort of like an owl day. And up there, I rarely see an owl up there. I think I've only seen an owl one time in like up there, and it was years ago. I see hawks up there all the time. But again, rarely ever do I see an owl. And then I hear another hoot, and it was very loud. And I looked up, and as I looked up, the owl sort of took off. It was on the branch above me, and it flew down the path. And I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, this is something, right? So I walk down the path, and every time I get sort of where it landed, it takes off again. So it followed me down, like it sort of literally led me down this path I was going on, thinking about owls, thinking about all this stuff, thinking about getting people on to talk about owls. Yeah, and it's probably, maybe half a mile, 3/4 of a mile that like we sort of did this follow the leader down the path. And then one of the things Rainey and I were talking about on the episode that got erased was like what, because I believe it was a sign of some kind. But how do you feel about that, Rainey? Do you think it was a sign, yes or no?
Maybe. I also
Maybe.
think like some spirits or something might have been listening in on your thoughts, and they're like, he wants an owl, I'll give him an owl. And so that owl was sort of acting as a protector from the spirits that wanted to.
Gotcha. So it was a sign, but we don't necessarily know what that sign is, right? We don't know if it was a protector thing, like Rainey was saying. We don't know if it's a sign saying, yes, like explore this further, get in touch with these people, or if it's a sign saying, hey, you need to stop where you are and not do anymore. Firmly believe it's a sign of some kind, just have no idea what that sign is trying to tell us. So fast forward a couple days, yesterday late afternoon, I reach out to my old coworker. We text back and forth a couple times, haven't nailed anything down. And then the next time I sit at the computer, I sit down and the background on my computer just changes. Most people probably know how to stop that. I'm not a technical dude, so I don't. I just let it. And I like seeing sort of what pops up on from day to day. So I sit down at a computer to work on another podcast that I do. And the background is an owl.
Was it the same owl you saw? Or
I don't know. I think the owl, I'm not good at owl identification. I just don't see them very often. I believe the owl that I saw was a great horned owl. I mean, it was big. It had a very sort of low call that it was doing. But I believe it was a great horned owl. Regardless, probably one of our future episodes, we're going to dive into
owls,
because now I am going down this path. So I hope that's what the owl messenger was telling me to do, was, hey, explore this path about owls and their relationship to the unexplained, and not saying, hey, don't do this bad idea because I'm doing it. Rainey, by default, is doing it with me. How do you feel about that, bud?
I don't really get a say in what you're doing.
No, but how do you feel about us exploring this owl thing?
Depends on what we find.
Like, are you excited about us exploring owls, or are you like, hey, you know what, we probably shouldn't do this?
Excited.
Do you have anything else for this show, bud?
Don't be like the squonk.
So in closing, you can find us on the socials. We're really only active on one of the social media platforms, and that's on Instagram. And at Instagram, we're at McFap_podcast. And again, McFap is MCFAP. We are on other social media things. We just don't really do anything with them because we're just not there yet. But Facebook, just look up McFap, a blue sky, McFap.bsky.social.
And then our email is mcfappodcast@gmail.com.
Correct. And McFap podcast is all one word.
And are there any capital letters?
Nope.
Okay.
Shoot us a message. We would like to hear feedback if you're enjoying the show. If there are some things you think, maybe we can do better. If there are particular creatures you think we should explore a little bit. Yeah, just let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Comment on our podcast on whatever source you listen to them on. Yeah, or if you want to come on the show, if you think you've had like this really cool experience, or or you've never had an experience, you just have some stories or knowledge about something under the McFap universe, that you think people would find interesting, you think that we would find interesting, come on. And even if like you have a really cool story, but you don't want to tell the world yet, but you want to share it with us, please share it. We'll keep everything secret. We will only share it if you say we can. Yeah. So until next time, and again, next episode number 6 will be with MC again. So until next time, don't be like the squonk, as Rainey likes to say, and be safe out there. Have weird experiences. We appreciate y'all.